Hello everyone. So welcome to the channel of RD Automation Learning. So in this video, we are going to continue with the software testing series, the software testing fundamental series, in which we will be trying to cover all the topics that are necessary for a person to make their career in the software testing and to become a software testing professional from zero to hero. Right. So last time, what we covered is we covered the various roles that are available in the software testing, the various job opportunities or the various job descriptions that you can expect, and what are the different numbers of years of experience that you can consider with respect to software testing when you are doing manual, automation, SDET, QA kind of roles. Now, in this video, we are going to share with you the multiple things. Okay. So the very first thing that we would be seeing here is on SDLC. So with respect to SDLC, what are the different phases of SDLC? What is the difference between SDLC and Agile? And when a tester is entering into a software development lifecycle, then what are the different documents that they will go through? So we will see the documentation from the BRD, that is business requirement document, the functional requirement document. And in order to cover the real-time aspects, we will be seeing the functional requirement documentation of Amazon.com and the BRD also of Amazon.com. So from an e-commerce perspective, e-commerce domain perspective, you will get an idea. And rather than making it theoretical, we are covering examples so that you are able to understand these concepts in a deeply manner, and you are able to recall, you are also able to explain them if required in an interview. Not only that, but after the interview, once you select in a company and you start working as a software tester, then what are the different things that will come before you, and how would you start utilizing them from the testing perspective? So those all things we'll be covering, and we'll be covering some questions from the SDLC perspective, interview questions from SDLC perspective, and then what is the difference between SDLC and Agile. Okay, so those topics would be covered here. So first of all, what is software development lifecycle? Now, even if you're not able to recall in an interview, I'll tell you the simple tip. So based on the wordings, based on the caption itself, software development life cycle, when you say cycle, right, it is an end-to-end thing starting from scratch to the end. That is known as cycle, right? We have studied about water life cycle, we have studied about rain cycle, we have studied about recently we saw about cloud seeding that is happening in UAE, right? So those are all the cycles. Now, what is life cycle? So when I say life, so it defines the software life from zero, that is when it has been thought that this kind of software we need, to the end product that we get. So that is software development lifecycle. Easy to remember, easy to understand, right? Please comment in the please put your comment in the comment section of this video itself. What is software development lifecycle, and are you able to understand this particular thing? It's a process to design, develop, and test. So first of all, we'll design, right? Not directly you would be doing the testing. First, it is to have a thought process. First, it would be brainstorming that would be done. Then is to convert those design into the development and then testing. Okay, now understanding the software development lifecycle is very crucial for successful project management and delivery. If you understand software development lifecycle, see, as a tester, you might be thinking, why should I think about development? Why should I think about designing? But that's where we QA, that's where we testers are being going into the wrong direction. It is very important that you take into the consideration what is the design of the software, what is the backend, what is the architecture level. Okay, I'm not telling you to get into the deep informations like you have to perform coding also there, but at least get to know about the software. If you will come to know about the software in detail, you would be able to find the defects appropriately, and your defects would be at a level of where it would be fixed as soon as possible. Those would be high priority, high severity defects. Okay. So first phase is planning. So what happens during the planning phase? The project scope, the requirements, and the objectives are defined. So there would be a person. So generally, in the planning phase, if you'll see, if you are in a product based company like Amazon or Google, there are so many product based companies, right? So what they will have is they will have their stakeholders who will be coming up with some kind of high level requirements, very high level, that this particular software is to be done or this particular application is to be created. So what would happen is the this particular requirements, once those are collected from stakeholders, the business analyst or the project managers, they'll define the requirements. Okay, they'll come up with the objectives. They'll tell you what all the things that are required in this particular software. Hmm? And then you'll be doing feasibility analysis. So the team is there. So when I say team, so it has development team, it has quality analysis team, it has project managers, scrum masters. Okay, now in an interview you might get this question: what is your team size? So if you are working in a company, then definitely you will have developers, you will have QA. So if you are working in one particular small project, you might be having a team size of let's say 6 developers and 2 testers. Okay, and if you are working in a big projects, then it might happen you might be having nearly 20 developers and 8 to 10 QAs. Generally the ratio of development to QA is one, sorry, from QA to development is 1:2 or 1:3. So in case of simple projects wherein you see it's a kind of a straightforward application, straightforward software, the ratio would be 1:3. That means 3 developers, 1 QA. In case of complex projects, the ratio would be 1:2. Okay, that is expected, but sometimes in the terms of cost cutting and sometimes in the terms of billing, it happens that 1:3 people are only there. But if you see that you are working in a project wherein you have 4 developers working with you and you are only the single QA, then it is something that is not expected. You should have a word with your QA leads or have a word with the manager and justify why do you need more QA in that project. So it is not possible to have one QA with respect to 4 or 5 developers. I have seen a few of the companies, they have one QA with respect to 5 to 6 developers. So this is how the team size is defined. You will be having one project manager, one scrum master, one business analyst, right? Project manager or product manager. And sometimes these managers like business analyst or product manager, these also would be shared. They might be working in multiple projects. Scrum master might be working on 1 or 2 projects. So those things we will be seeing in detail. But if this question is asked to you and you are someone who is already working, then you have to tell those kind of numbers. Never ever say that I have 2 developers and 5 QA. That is not at all possible itself. The size, the strength of the development team would be more compared to the QA members. Okay. So there are many people out there who are looking to switch from support to testing field, or who are looking to switch from non-IT to testing. So these kind of team size related questions you might expect in an interview. Okay, now planning phase is done. Okay, so you have created a project schedule, you have allocated resources, development, QA, Scrum Master, who all will be working on those particular things, those would be taken. Okay. I'll tell you about requirements in detail. So first, before going to the screenshot, let me tell you about the what kind of requirement documents as a tester you can expect. So let me share my screen. Okay. So this kind of functional requirement document you would receive in the company. So when you are joining as an intern or you are joining as an experienced, so there is a difference. Okay. Now, if you have joined some particular company for internship, okay, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, okay, and you are joining as a fresher, QA fresher, okay, and you don't have any experience, hmm? And you are joining as a QA tester who is having 3+ years of experience. Okay, so what you would be doing is whenever you join any company, any project, you would be given some kind of documentation. Okay. Now there are again two things in the companies when you would join. So if the project, or if the application or the software on which you are working is already live, okay, then you can see that application, you can see that website, or you can see that Windows based application also. But if you are joining a project which is still into the designing phase, then you would be getting functional requirement documents. And it is not like once the application is live you won't get FRD, you can still refer FRD. Okay, there is no harm in that. And what I would suggest is, whenever you join company, you should, or join any new projects, or maybe you are switching internally from in the company from one project to another project, then you should refer such kind of documentations. Directly going to the website and doing the testing, okay, that is something else. And if you refer the documentation, you get some product knowledge. What is this project about? What are the different functionalities? What are the different behaviors? Then you would be having more idea than that. Okay, so refer documentation and then look into the website. So sometimes what you would see is, the documentations are there, but those are not updated. So in the companies or in the projects, it does happens, which is actually a risk again. Okay, so it is better to refer documents and to side by side open website also. Okay, now if you are an intern, if you have recently joined the company, okay, you have to coordinate first of all with your QA leads or QA managers, that what are my expectations, what is my day-to-day task. You might be given some particular documentation, so we'll be going through this FRD also very soon. And or you might be given directly application on which you have to perform testing, so that is called as exploratory testing, when you don't have the knowledge of the testing, or sorry, of the product or the project, and you start testing it, so that is known as exploratory testing. Okay, if you are joining as a fresher, then you would be asked to go through the again these kind of documentation which are pertaining to the application or the software that has been developed. And at the same time, you would be asked to test the application as well. So you would be given simple particular requirements to start testing, or user stories. I'll show you the screenshot of user story also. Okay, if you are an experienced person, you would be directly given some particular product knowledge, you'll be given some training, you'll be given this kind of requirements documents, and you will be asked to go through, and then you will be assigned some particular modules to start testing. Okay, now requirement documents, so these kind of documents you should ask when you join the company, or if you switch from one project to another project, so that you know what is the expectation of the application or the software. So this is again a very high level documentation that I have created. Okay, the FRD or the BRD, functional requirement document or the business requirement document, that would be of a long PDF or long Word document. You might expect up to 200 to 300 pages also. Okay, so a lot of content would be there, but here just to give you an information from the real-time perspective, I have come up with a small documentation. Okay, so in FRD, you would be having introduction. So what is the purpose of this document? So what does this document does? So this document purpose is to outline the functional requirements for the Amazon platform. So Amazon is an e-commerce website, and it's an online marketplace which is offering a wide range of products and services to the customers. Okay, what is the scope? So what are the different things that you are supposed to perform testing, or you are supposed to, that this particular application functionality should be there in this particular application? Those things are covered. So what is the scope? So scope is user registration, browsing products, searching, purchasing, and managing orders. Okay, now as soon as I am reading this document, imagine you are also reading this document. Okay, now try to come up. So this is an exercise for you. So you can put your answers in the comment section of the video. Which are the test scenarios that you are feeling that is coming to your mind? How would you test this particular website? Okay, and again, I'm telling about functional testing, non-functional testing. Okay, we'll also deep dive into functional and non-functional. But if you're an experienced person and you are watching this video, then definitely you would be thinking how to test this application based on this documentation. Okay, if you read the documentation like this, and you try to identify bugs in that. So that is called as verification. If you read the documentation, sorry, so there is a difference between verification and validation. Okay. What is verification? That is going through the documentation and identifying the issues in the documentation. That is verification. Okay. Validation is you will be testing the software and finding bugs. So that is known as validation. Okay. So now one of the aspect of going through the documentation, of going through the functional requirement documents is that you are supposed to understand the project. At the same time, based on the expertise that you have, or based on the knowledge that you have, or sometimes common sense as well, it is important that you are able to find the defects also in the functional requirement document, right? So I'll show you one of the defect also in this particular documentation. Scope. This document covers the core functionalities. So core functionalities, so user registration, browsing products, searching, purchasing, and managing orders. Okay. Then user roles. So which are the different user roles that you can have in the Amazon website? So first is a guest, right? Visitors who have not registered or logged in. Let's say you got some link from the Facebook or any other social media website, which is redirecting you to the Amazon website. Okay. So such kind of visitors who you don't have, you haven't registered on the website, you haven't logged in into the website. Okay. Then customer. So registered users who can browse, search, purchase, and manage orders. Okay. So as a customer, you have already registered, and now you should be able to browse, you should be able to search, you should be able to purchase, and you should be able to manage orders. Okay. Now administrator. So Amazon staff responsible for managing products, inventory, and user accounts. Okay. So these are admin who would be updating the website based on the new products, new categories, or new price range that would be coming up in the market. So those things they would be updating in the Amazon.com. Okay. Functional requirements. So functional requirements is user registration and authentication. Users should be able to register for an account with Amazon using a valid email address and a password. Then you should be able to log into their accounts securely using their credentials, right? So users should have option to reset their passwords if forgotten. So these are the high level requirements, okay, related to the users. Okay, now let me show you a bug in this documentation. See, now coming to product browsing and searching, we'll be able to find a bug also. So if you are a person who is, having a kind of a curiosity or passion for software testing, you would be able to find defects also in the documentation, and you should be able to find. Okay. Users should be able to browse products by category, subcategory, or by using filters. So there's a filter option. You can also search by categories, subcategories, right? Now users should not be able to search for products using keywords. No keywords should be working. What do you mean by this? This means you should not be able to search some particular keywords. Okay. Do you think this is a valid thing that has been mentioned there? Right. So I have purposefully, I have intentionally made a mistake in this documentation. This is not an appropriate requirement. You should be able to search using keywords. You should be able to search using even half of the content that is written. For example, if I want to search for a shirt on Amazon website, if I just enter SHIR, they should be able to have auto suggestions enabled that yes, this particular shirts or this particular products you are looking. Okay. So this is not a valid thing. Now, the moment you find this kind of inappropriate thing, take a screenshot of it and share it with your QA leads or managers. Okay. And if you yourself are a QA lead or a manager, then you should have a word with the business analyst or the product manager, whoever has written this particular documentation. Okay. Now you are in the planning phase of SDLC. Okay. So you are going through all these requirements. You will be going through product details. Okay. Users should be able to view product information, specifications, Users should be able to add products to their shopping cart, right? Then users should be able to view the contents of their shopping cart and update quantities. Users should have the option to proceed to checkout from the shopping cart, then checkout and payment, right? So all these things are coming in the functional requirement documentations. Okay, these are functional requirements. Even non-functional requirements are also there in the documentation. How many users should it withstand? How many concurrent users should it be handled? Right? See, these are non-functional requirements. Now, if you see non-functional, that is non-functional testing. Okay, so this is an example of the FRD that you would get. Now, coming back to this phase. So once the FRD is done, then what would happen is, okay. So this is also the screenshot of the Jira. So see, generally, if you are going into an IT company, these days, most of the companies would be using Jira. And they will be creating the tickets, or you can say the user stories in Jira. What is user story? So what a user needs from the end to end user perspective. So that is nothing but user story. How the story of a user, how they will be using that particular application. It's a story of a user, how they would be using that particular software. Huh? So see here for an example. So this is just a screenshot. So this is how you would be seeing the user stories. So once the requirements are there, the FRDs are created, you will be having VRDs, and then all those requirements are converted into the user stories. So now coming to the very first phase, when the stakeholder is there, what he's thinking, okay, I need an e-commerce website. He will communicate same thing to the business analyst or the project managers. What they will come up with, they will have a discussion with the stakeholders and with the management. I'm telling you with respect to product based company, and they'll be coming up with a documentation. Okay, from that documentation, again this particular user stories would be created. So in that documentation there were end to end things that were mentioned. Now how a team, how a dev team or development or QA team would be focusing on this kind of things. So they'll be going through the user stories, and they'll be having access to the requirement documentations as well. Okay, see, projects. So in Jira, you will have multiple projects. Okay, now add multi-level navigation to homepage. So this is the title of the user story. Okay, so description. As a user, I should be able to access all the categories from the multi-level navigation on the homepage. Okay, so navigation related story, to whom it has been assigned, story point estimation, who has reported it, right? Those kind of things would be in the part of user story. Okay, so requirement grooming is also one of the agile ceremony that you can tell in an interview, that I am a part of requirement grooming, where we go through all these user stories and we estimate the stories from the testing point of view. Okay, so planning phase is done, then design phase is also done. Okay, design is done, and then development phase. So in the development phase, you will be the development team would be writing code. Okay, they'll be giving you the code, and then you'll have testing phase in which you would be doing testing, and you would be having some kind of testing. So let's say initial level, you would be doing high level testing. So whenever you receive the build, you need to do smoke testing. So in an interview, you might get the question, how many times in a day do you do smoke testing? Now, if you're going with a fake experience, you might tell I'm doing 5 times in a day. I've seen people answering this kind of question also. So again, we are not here to criticize anyone. That's fine. Everyone is looking for a job opportunities and to make their career. So the point here to correct is, you will not be doing smoke testing 5 times in a day. You will be only doing smoke testing when you receive a build for testing. So for example, so today is Saturday. Okay, so Saturday, Sunday, you won't be working. So let's say on Monday, you received the build for testing, in which you received two of the requirements to be tested. One of the requirement is related to the search functionality of the Amazon website. One of the functionality is that forgot password of the user. Okay, So you have started that particular testing, but before you start your testing of that user stories, you would be doing smoke testing. Smoke testing is done to ensure that the build is in a healthy state. Smoke testing is done to ensure that build is eligible or good for testing. This build is appropriate for testing. That's why you will go for smoke testing. Okay. So in an interview, if you get this question, what, how many times do you do smoke testing? So tell them that whenever we receive the build, we do smoke testing. Times is dependent on how many times you would receive that particular build or release or software from that particular development team. Okay. So in an SDLC, next phase is testing, in which you would be testing and you would be finding the defects, and then various testing methods. So we'll be going into these details also: unit testing, integration testing, user acceptance testing, then the deployment. So the deployment phase, the software is released to the users. Okay. So uh, you would be setting up, you'll be setting up the test result documents. You will be signing off that particular user story. You will be updating all your test cases with the pass status, right? Never ever release the software with few of the test cases with a fail status, right? That would create a question mark on you and on your team as well. Okay. And if there are test cases which are failing, let your QA lead or QA manager or let the management know that these particular test cases are failing. So deployment phase, the software is released to the users. The maintenance phase, so it involves ongoing support. So if any support or if any updates are to be done, any announcements are to be made, right? So those kind of regular maintenance activities to keep the software up and running, that is known as maintenance. Okay. And finally, it's a conclusion. So you are ready with the software development lifecycle. Now, what is software development lifecycle? Simple to understand, simple to explain. So now, few of the questions that you might get here. What is SDLC? What is software development lifecycle? So software development lifecycle is nothing but it's a process. It's a systematic process, right? It's a systematic process in which would consist of planning, then designing, okay, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance, right? These are the phases in the software development lifecycle. It's a framework for developers, right? It's a framework for a team to provide or to come up with a high quality software that meets user expectations and the project requirements. What are the main phases of SDLC? So requirements, design, implementation, you can say coding or development, then testing, deployment, and maintenance. Why is SDLC important? So SDLC ensures a structured and organized approach to the software development. It leading to the creation of the reliable. So it's an organized approach, is a systematic, it's a structured manner. You're not directly jumping from design phase to testing phase. You're not directly jumping from design to deployment, right? It's a structured manner. It's a framework that has been developed to ensure that the software is developed with a good quality and the resources are managed efficiently, right? Key objectives of SDLC. So delivering a high quality product, meeting customer requirements. So in our example, the stakeholder who was looking for an e-commerce website, okay, they got the Amazon website at the end of the SDLC. So meeting the customer requirements, he might would have done some commitments to their customers. Okay. Minimizing risk. It's a transparent approach. Okay, how does SDLC differ from agile methodology? Okay, so we'll cover agile first and then we'll cover this particular question, so you would be able to correlate more. Okay, so thank you so much for being there, and thank you so much for watching this video. We would be updating this playlist in a more appropriate manner in the upcoming videos also. And why it is taking time, because it's so I think this video might be of 25 to 30 minutes, but we are trying to cover the theoretical topics with the real-time examples that would help you to understand this particular software testing things in a detailed manner. And you would be able to recall also if you are asked this kind of things in an interview, or this series would also help you if you are working as a software tester within the company in a real-time project as well, right? So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button And the assignment for this video is that you are supposed to come up with the high level test scenarios from the FRDs, from the requirements that I just showed it to you. Right. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video and stay tuned for more updates.